Ladies love the skin.
Ow.
Bring it a little bit closer. The good skin, that is. That's why having a proper skincare routine is very important, and you need to feel the Teej. The process is so easy, just 4 steps. You got your daily face wash. That's going to clean your face up nice and right. You got your exfoliator scrub. That's going to open up your pores. You got your AM moisturizer with the SPM 20, which is going to protect you from the sun. You also got your PM moisturizer, which is going to make sure your skin is protected throughout the night. Teej has tons of reviews from dedicated customers across the world. I know I said a lot, but it's okay, because guess what? It comes with an instruction card to explain to you in detail what to do morning and night. And because Teej is a sponsor, they're offering my family 30% off along with a free gift. Just click that link that's in the description and feel the Teej.
Maintaining your beard isn't just style, it's self-respect. A well-grown beard boosts confidence and leaves a lasting impression. Elevate your look. Embrace the importance of beard care today. Real quickly, shout out to the sponsor again, Teej, handling uncomplicated skincare for men. 30% off on the free gift. That link is in the description. Make sure you guys go ahead and click that link and feel the Teej, as I always say. In case you guys didn't know, me and Sugar Curls teamed up to bring you guys Lapeef-ing. I said Lapeef-ing. Sure, man. Lapeef Sugar Curls collab. Make sure you guys go ahead and click that link that's in the description. Make sure we get our beards together too. Pink, hands down, has the best beard in the game, and you guys can see why. And said, make sure you guys hit that link, and also make sure you subscribe to the channel. Happy Sunday, fun day, says Morgan. Go to you, Mr. BX87 is in the chat. Good afternoon, Lapeef family, panel, and chat. Become part of Green Gang. That link is in the chat as well. Let's go ahead and get this show started. Let's go ahead and get it started. Y'all ready? Okay. All right, our first topic. What's going on? I missed something?
Nah, I just said let's get the party started.
Oh, okay. So I see you ready. He always ready. Where is it? Here we go. First topic. Those who don't adjust rust. Those who don't adjust rust. I'm gonna go ahead and play this clip.
Success in any aspect of life requires adaptability, and the reason why that's not popular is because most of us don't like change. But I believe, if nothing else, history has taught us that change and pivot are necessary if you're going to continue longevity in any area you desire to be successful. Whether that's business, relationships, occupation, education, etc., ever going is always going to be associated with evolution. Those that are committed to corroded or dated preferences will soon be irrelevant, because relevance belongs to the adaptable and teachable. And a part of adaptive learning is realizing that there are methods and materials that worked very well in times past that have no impact in the current times we're in. You see it all the time in coaching, businesses, ministries, etc. Oh, things have changed. Well, yes, things have changed. So you have to change, as opposed to having this mindset of, because you're not doing it the way that I'm accustomed to, it's impossible to get a result. No. In order for me to experience the joy of lasting continuance of accomplishment in this season, I've got to be willing to learn and turn. Shoes and food.
All right. There we go. Those who don't adjust rust. Those who don't adjust rust. I'm gonna go ahead and go to you first, Biz. What are your thoughts about that?
Man, everything he said was facts. You know, just like with the saying, if you don't use it, you lose it. You know, life is a ever evolving process. Not only as a person, but even if you're a business owner or something, in your relationships. Nobody or nothing is necessarily going to stay the same. So if you're not constantly evolving and pushing yourself to grow, then you're gonna wither away.
All right. We'll go to Lady Mogulette. What are your thoughts about it, man?
So I also agree that like as we're living, we're evolving, we're growing, we're learning, we're unlearning, and adjustments have to be made to kind of reacclimate to every new environment, every new temperature in order for you to thrive. So I do agree that if you don't adjust, you can rust. Rust meaning just decay in a way that's less graceful, because you're constantly resisting the change, if that makes any sense. So that's my take on that.
All right. Go to you, Miss Taken. Those who don't adjust rust.
Like everyone else said, I totally agree. I think sometimes, people are stuck in their habits, and are comfortable where they are because being uncomfortable, most people don't like that. But if you can embrace being uncomfortable, that helps propel change. And if you embrace change, that will, I think, help you grow. So I definitely agree with what everyone else said.
All right. Hey, Jay, were you able to see the video?
I was listening to it right now, but I mean, I got the gist of it.
Okay, need me to play it again? I can run it back.
Sure, you can do it.
Sustainable success in any aspect of life requires adaptability, and the reason why that's not popular is because most of us don't like change. But I believe, if nothing else, history has taught us that change and pivot are necessary if you're going to continue longevity in any area you desire to be successful. Whether that's business, relationships, occupation, education, etc., ever going is always going to be associated with evolution. Those that are committed to corroded or dated preferences will soon be irrelevant, because relevance belongs to the adaptable and teachable. And a part of adaptive learning is realizing that there are methods and materials that worked very well in times past that have no impact in the current times we're in. You see it all the time in coaching, businesses, ministries, etc. Oh, things have changed. Well, yes, things have changed. So you have to change, as opposed to having this mindset of, because you're not doing it the way that I'm accustomed to, it's impossible to get a result. No. In order for me to experience the joy of lasting continuance of accomplishment in this season, I've got to be willing to learn and turn. Shoes and food.
All right, go ahead, Jay.
No, that's a fact, man. I mean, I'm personally experiencing that right now. So in my late 20s, my 30s, as far as weight loss, I was able to drop 40 to 50 pounds, focus for like 2 or 3 months and do it. And the methods that I used at that time do not work now. I cannot do it. Like, I've been sitting here trying to put together a strategy that works, and everything that I did back then is not working anymore. So I'm currently going through adjusting or trying to figure out a new method that will work for me at this current age. You know what I mean? So that's one of the things. But I think, like he was stating, in all fields, if you're in a tech field, if you're not up to date on the latest hardware, software, like, you will get left behind. There's certifications out there that if you don't have it on your resume, they'll overlook you with the quickness, and it's constantly changing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't stay abreast, yeah, you definitely will be a caveman. Yeah.
I think a great point that Jay touched on too, just with the human body, with its ability to adapt. Once it get used to you eating a certain diet, or you have a certain routine of how you train, then that is no longer going to be as effective, because it's going to be like, all right, it's 8 a.m. I know Jay finna get up, eat a banana and some oatmeal. I know how to process this. Or going to the gym, all right, I know Jay gonna run for 2 hours. I'm gonna burn off X amount of calories, and after that, I ain't doing shit else because I know he gonna stop. Compared to switching it up, shocking the body, as we call it. But it's just part of life. It's the inevitable. I think another part too that's interesting, if he is a pastor, the way that he's dressed, you know what I'm saying? 10 years ago, you'll probably never see a pastor dressed like that. You know what I'm saying? So, but at the same time, that message probably wouldn't get across to a lot of other people too. So
Yeah, I like that, Viz. Go ahead, brother Hing. What are your thoughts about that? Those who don't adjust, rust.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that statement. There's you always got to make adjustments, whether it's to your own personal life or your social circle that you deal with. You constantly making adjustments. As a parent, you're constantly making adjustments. As an employee or employer, you are constantly making adjustments. So yeah, you better be able to adjust and adapt to the situations, to the times. To any relationships, you got to make certain adjustments. That's going to be a constant. So yes, I totally agree with what the guy was saying and the statement that you got going across the screen.
Yeah, I think you guys hit on a lot of great points. I think it's really harder for older folks. I was having a conversation with my grandfather, and even though I understand why he made the decisions that he made, it doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't a better way. And for instance, like the whole working a 9 to 5. I'm not against working a 9 to 5, but I try to let my grandfather know that in the world we live in today, there are so many other ways and avenues that you can create wealth, and it just isn't stuck in that bubble of just working a 9 to 5, having a 401k, and retiring. I mean, to me, I think a lot of people miss out on. I'm gonna say a lot. I think people do miss out depending on what it is that you want to achieve, and it's really hard to get to that other side when you don't know what that feels like, because it's not meant for everybody. Because you do have to work harder. You're gonna have some days that's gonna be up and some days gonna be down, and a lot of people don't want that change. They're content with being stable. But if you look at some of the people that has made it, the people that you look up to as role models or inspire to be, or say, oh man, they have an awesome life, it's because they had to sacrifice some things. And when you sacrifice some things, then um, understand what comes with that mentality and that mindset, then I think that you may be able to make the jump, you may not. You're gonna have to change and adapt because life just keeps happening.
Another thing, like what you were saying with older people, the other thing that I see that they have a hard time with is also child rearing in a way that, with disciplining back then versus now. Like I know when I was growing up, you got spanked for anything, everything. You drop milk, you got spanked. Whereas now that is no longer the mindset. But I noticed that older people will say, well, that's why your child, like that's why the kids crazy because they don't spank them no more. While I do agree that is true in some instances, I just think that, as time goes on, you learn more. So you have more tools in a tool belt to kind of relate with your kids and discipline them in a way that isn't only just about putting hands on them. And so I think they have a hard time with understanding that, well, some kids require spanking, some kids don't. You can do timeout, you can take things from them, you can, things like that. But they had one tool in their belt. And, now it's just kind of like they don't know how to adjust with that as well.
Yeah, but mistaken. You being as a teacher, are in the profession. Some of these kids need to get their ass whooped, and it's been a problem that they don't even get that. They don't even have a conversation, let alone a spanking. I'm not gonna see the other thing they used to do is beatings. We know that's what they used to do. It wasn't spankings, it wasn't whoopings, it was beatings. Some of us took some beatings, but some of them not even willing to do that. They're willing to pacify by giving them more and being more sympathetic to them, to the point where, yeah, that's not working either. I understand you know, certain areas or certain neighborhoods or certain individuals you can talk to, or my daughter, I can just look at her and it's the fear of God, and then everything's everything. Yeah, my son wasn't like that. Yeah, he wasn't like that. So I had to go a little hard on him. But the outcomes was different. Now it took my daughter longer to deal with, to actually get it. My son got it faster. When I'm thinking back to how they came up, he got it faster because I was a little hard on it. So the reality, you know, his reality was more there for him compared to with my daughter. It took my daughter probably another 2 years after, you know, she moved out before, oh shit, this is what my daddy was talking about. This is what he was, okay. And I'm trying to give it to her in a loving, soft type of way. And that's my fault. I probably should have been a little more tough on my daughter, but I wasn't, because she was a daughter, she was a girl. So I tried to be more sensitive and more caring and all of that good stuff. So the reason I'm saying it, but we know sometimes these kids need that. They need that tough love, and now society won't even allow you to give that. You're not even allowed to raise your voice to your kid no more without them ready to call CPS on them.
I agree, but it's about giving a person what they need. So for me growing up, spankings wasn't going to work. I didn't care. Actually, I preferred the spanking over the punishment, because I know the spanking is going to last, like, you know, yeah, it's going to hurt, but it's going to be over. Whereas being on punishment had more of an impact on me because it was over an extended period of time. So I was missing out on stuff, right? So spanking me wouldn't have the same result as, let's say, it would have for my middle sister. Spanking her, it was gonna work, you know, even for my older sister. So for me, it was the punishment. That was the method that worked. So that's what I'm saying in terms of knowing your kid and knowing, you know, what's gonna work, because just giving a blanket, like how they teach us, you know, in the school system, to differentiate, right? So knowing what's going to work for each child is very important in order to get the results that you want. And I think that's with anything, not just with children, but in a relationship. What you did with your ex-girlfriend, you know, it is not going to work with the current girlfriend. It may be some things, but in general, you're going to have to make adjustments and adapt, you know, to that. Same thing with women. What may have worked for a previous relationship may not going to be tolerated in the current relationship. So you're going to have to adjust and make, you know, changes. So it's about knowing your audience and pivoting to, you know, get the results that you want.
Yeah, well, you had it good, because it wasn't just you get spankings and I get to go back outside. No, I got the spankings and I still got punished. I didn't get one or the other. I don't know. You're blessed then if that's what you got.
I definitely understand all that you're saying, Ms. Taken, but I think that the thing that is evident is that people are now making decisions without the fear of accountability, right? When you got a spanking good enough so that, you know, if you do it again, you're gonna get another spanking. You know what I'm saying? And it ain't fun. And you're gonna be on punishment. So now if you remove the spankings and the punishments are soft, is oh well, I'm gonna take your tablet for an hour and 30 minutes go by and you give them the tablet back. You know what I'm saying? Then I'm not getting in trouble. There's no circumstance, there's no accountability for my actions. So that's why we see crime, especially in our culture, where it's bold, you know, regardless of how you may feel about it, the smash and grabs, the carjackings, you know, people are doing this stuff in broad daylight now. You know, at a time it was, all right, we gonna catch it when it's closing. they don't even care. You know what I'm saying? They tearing up downtown. They don't care. It's broad daylight. There's no accountability. So if you're not teaching accountability at home, when they get outside, when they get in front of the police, when they get in front of the judge, they're gonna make these, wild decisions right then and there, because again, there's no accountability. So I think that I understand what you're saying, but there's a line that has been blurred of reality and in the fantasized world of where we're traumatized from getting whooped, and it's like we don't want to traumatize our kids as well, so we're trying to block them and save them from the real world.
And that's the crazy thing, there are young there are young Black kids out here growing up that aren't scared of the police. Like, think about that. They don't fear. They're bucking up to them. See, it would be a difference if the police wasn't scared of them, then that's fine. But if the police is scared of you and you're not scared of them, and you're, talking to them like, because you see how these young white kids talk to the police, I pay you, your salary comes out of my taxes. They talk to them. They tell them their job. Listen here, I'm going to go over there. I'm going to get my stuff and you sit here. They be talking to police like they're kids. We can't do that. And there's a young generation of kids that are coming up seeing their white friends do that and think that they have that luxury. It's like, yo, these dudes will blow your head off. Don't mean to get dark, but if it was being taught on both sides, like if the police was being taught that same thing, that's a difference. But these police are afraid. I was watching a video the other day. Y'all saw the acorn hitting the car and the dude thought it was a bullet.
Hey, dude was petrified.
He was petrified.
I'm hit.
My man had a all-out shootout with himself.
Yeah.
Because the young Black dude wasn't scared of cops. He's standing there toying with them. He didn't do nothing crazy. He just wasn't complying with them verbally.
Oh, yeah.
This dude had a whole shootout on his own.
Yeah.
All you hear is his gun shooting at the car that he placed the Black kid in.
And he emptied.
I'm hit. Dog, they checked his body. That's what I mean, yo.
See the difference.
We have to instill that fear so that they know that this is serious, because like Viz said, you don't want them to try that on somebody where it could be absolute results.
That's so scary, though. We have to instill fear.
And that's what I was going to say.
It's not instilling fear.
Is a difference between instilling fear and respect. And
Right.
I think that's where we get it mixed up. Like a lot of times when we're younger, we're afraid of our parents because we're afraid of getting spanked or afraid of what's going to happen next, right? But when you get to a certain age, like once I got to a certain age, I didn't have fear of getting spanked, right? Or especially for guys too, as they start getting in their manhood at a certain age, they don't fear getting spanked, right? So that's why I think it has to be a combination of instilling, the fear part work when you're younger, but also in tandem with instilling respect. Like you respect the police, you respect your parents, you respect elders. And I think that's the part that's missing. We focus so much on the instilling the fear to try to protect our kids as opposed to instilling the respect factor to protect them.
But there needs to be a specific, my fault. There needs to be a specific respect. Like this ain't just even respect with the cops. There's a specific respect that you need to have.
Yeah. One of the things I was going to say too is that I always tell people to try to take the most logical way. So I think you have to explain to people, children, as to the consequences, whether it be right or wrong, or the potential risk that they may be putting themselves in. I think sometimes if you give them some more information as to why this all makes sense, then I don't think that you really have to lean on and instill in fear or tearing the ass up. But they may not. Yeah, I mean, but they may not understand it, and they may not get it. But you still have to have a conscious effort of explaining these situations, because when you're not around, they have to be able to make decisions on their own. And so you want them to make the most best educated decision, the one that makes logical sense, not emotional. And then maybe they won't find themselves in unusual circumstance or something that they shouldn't have did, and that cost them like their freedom or their life.
I agree with that. I do think it doesn't have to be fair. I think it's more so character and integrity. And I do think that if what you said is making a conscious effort, right? So a lot of folks don't even use their conscience in their decision making more often than not lately, because folks are turning away from God, turning away from, just whatever it is that we would use to set the standard for being morally upstanding or morally sound. So there's that side of it too. Like, I think there's a difference between instilling fear and using our life experiences to build character and showing up in a way where it's like, if you build the character, sometimes it's buzzwords, yeah, but you build the emotional maturity and intelligence to be able to deal with certain things. And yes, certain things are out of everyone's control. I get that, but I still think they're not everyone out of our men or Black men's control, especially as it relates to, how they have to show up in the world. But I think instilling fear is just a hard. It's it's a very unhealthy and almost unsafe way to operate for both of us.
I think that using the word fear can turn people off. In a sense, all fear is awareness, right? If anything, the part that needs to be instilled is the awareness. Now it's up to that person that's receiving it and also the person that's giving it, if they're going to give it in a sense of fear, right? As you stated, as a Black man going outside, I don't fear going outside, but I'm gonna be aware of my surroundings because I understand what the possibilities are. You know what I'm saying? I understand what is out there. I understand that my interaction with police and MF, F you, woo woo, and or even the way that the gentleman how he was reacting to the officer. If he would have came up calm, responding back and forth, if that acorn would have failed, dude he wouldn't have lost his shit. And what I'm saying, talking about I'm hit when he was never hit. He was so afraid himself, what I'm saying, because it was a mutual thing. You know what I'm saying? If he's giving off this vibe that, all right, I know he has a silencer. This Black male, he fits the stereotype and he's not responding. Then that immediately to him says, okay, I should be afraid of this guy, right? So it's more so the awareness of how I act is going to cause someone else to react a certain type of way, and however it is that they react, I can control it in a sense, but I can also become victim to it.
So with what the lady T was talking about, you sound like a woman who doesn't rate her son. That's what it sounds like. You don't have a son, because if you had a son, that would be the conversation you would have with your son. Your daughters, you wouldn't have to worry about that, because everything's, horseshoes and rainbows and unicorns. And that's all good. But like I said, I had to raise my son differently. He has to deal with this thing. Son, you can't drive around in your car with your hood on your head. It's not that goddamn cold in your car. Turn the heat up if you cold. Because if not, the perception is you up to no good. Why are you riding around with 4 or 5 dudes in your car with hoods on your head? There's no need to do that. First of all, I don't want you riding around with a bunch of people anyway. Because they already going to stereotype you. They going to look at you a certain way. Now, is that me teaching my son fear? Maybe. But I want my son to live to tell it. I want my son to be able to raise his own kids and me to have to enjoy his grandkids. Because I don't want my son to be a victim. So if you tell me I'm teaching my child fear, then so be it. I'm okay with that. As long as he comes home every goddamn night. That's all that matters.
So there's a difference between teaching fair and teaching safety. I didn't hear you teaching fair in that moment. I heard you giving directives to keep him safe in the event, something were to happen. When I hear you teaching, when I think teaching fair, I'm thinking we're being hyper vigilant and conducting ourselves as though we're hit before it even happens. That's what I mean when I say you're teaching fair. Or anyone's teaching fair. That didn't sound like fair to me. That sounded like safety, and I could totally understand that.
I'm just gonna say I'm not really sure if fear is necessarily a bad thing. I'm not sure if you guys are religious or not, but in Proverbs 3:7 it says, "Be not wise in your own eyes, fear the Lord." In Proverbs 9:10 it says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding." And then Proverbs 10:27 says, "The fear of the Lord prolongs days, but the years of the wicked shall be shortened." So I guess it just all depends on where you are pulling the act of fear from. I've grew up with people say that you do want to fear the Lord. That's how you know what decisions you should make and when you shouldn't, because it's kind of like you're rooted somewhere, you're grounded somewhere. So it's like, oh, I don't want to experience this, so I'm not going to do this.
It's the accountability.
Yeah, so I'm just introducing this in there, not to take away from anybody's points, but I'm just introducing this to the conversation as well that we're having.
So I can appreciate it because it's a fear of God, right? It's a little bit different. Fearing God versus fearing man. I feel like we fear God, it convicts you so that it holds you accountable to your integrity on earth. There's a difference between fearing man and fearing God, but I definitely can appreciate that.
Is there honestly, there is no difference. Fear is what it is, right? The I would say that the biggest difference is how it is that you apply it to yourself. The fear of God and the fear of man is no different, because there is both understanding that you're under some type of accountability that's not within yourself, right? Back in the ancient days, if you didn't if you didn't have the fear of man of your king, they'll behead you, you know what I'm saying, essentially in front of everybody. Now, was that a fear tactic? Absolutely, sure. But it was still inciting into people that if you do something that's not within what we say is okay, then there are consequences for it. And I think that's just what fear is, period. If you jump out of a car that's doing 60 miles an hour, and you don't have any fear, then there's only one thing that's going to happen to you. You know what I'm saying? I just think that it depends on how you apply it. Another part too, I think that men and women are just wired differently, and with the use of certain words and certain perspectives, because we're exposed to different things, we see different things, which is totally okay. You're supposed to feel that fear is this bad thing because you're a nurturer, right? Instinctively, but as men, we have to understand the power of fear, because that's how we survive.
And
Oh, sorry. I can actually receive that because, yeah, I mean, it does make sense. You guys need the fair to continue to thrive, to continue to hunt, and be like, and thrive in that environment, stay sharp in that environment. So I can understand that.
You ain't gonna want a man that's not fearful of something.
Lady T, why don't you accept mine? I'm just wasn't good enough.
You know what, Hank? You.
I get you. I know what it is.
But I think Viz made a good point. Like you said, with men and women, certain words, you know, awareness, to me, what you said, awareness, that's a better word. But that's
It's
like
softer.
healthy. That's healthy, exactly.
It's
It's
soft.
healthy fear. It's healthy fear. You know, we all have healthy fears. You know, Lady T, right now you have lights in your background in your house. So it tells me that you paid your light bill. Because you know, if you didn't, wouldn't be any lights. You paid
Fact.
your rent.
I got great lighting. Fun.
Paid your rent. You have a roof over your head because you have a healthy fear of letting the sky be your roof.
Mhm.
That's a fear, you know.
Facts.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think there is a difference between healthy fear. Healthy fear is actually in us naturally, right? So that's why you have that fight or flight response. You know what I'm saying? So I think there is nothing wrong with the healthy fear. I think what we were speaking more to was the like a fear-based fear with the idea of being controlling, you know,
That's
like
needed though.
the negative aspect of fear. Like
That's
if
needed
you're
though.
in a abusive relationship, that's not a healthy fear, right? So that's what I mean in terms of that. That type of fear is you're doing what you're doing out of a negative response to the consequence because of how bad it is, right? So that's what I was referring to more so of the negative aspect of trying to instill fear in people, even like with the police back in the day, you know, during the civil rights movement, even now today, abusing their power to create a negative fear response to them, right? Because it was out of a sense of needing to control, right? So that's what I was more so referring to, not the healthy fear. I do agree that healthy fear is needed. Absolutely.
Healthy fear is
Also,
control as well.
mistaken. I also fear that we got way far off the conversation, so I think we need to get back. JR, do your thing, big brother. You that guy.
Yeah, we did, man. The original one was those who don't adjust. Right. So I mean, basically, just understand that you know, if you want to be better, you may have to apply some changes in your life. You know, the world's going to keep moving; it's going to keep shaping differently, and it may not be the same way. So some of the old practices and things you do, or how you navigate through the world, everything won't work, and you may have to add something to your palette. But if not, then your life is going to probably remain the same. So the more information, the more you learn about what's going on in this world and how to use it to your advantage, then I think you'll be in a better place. It even comes with social media. I don't think social media is bad, but it's only bad to people who consume it in a certain way. I don't let it get the best of me where it's just my life. I use it for what it is. I understand why it's designed, and I also understand the pros and the cons of it. So it's going to be up to you to make the decision to take advantage of it, because I do think it is a necessary tool in today's time. Why it's like that, I have no control over that. But as I pay attention to the world and how it's moving, it's just technology, and I'm not going to be surprised within the next 20 years, and we may see it, we may not, but they're going to have flying cars. They're going to have people with cars going to be flying straight out the air, and it's going to be coming. And nothing we can do about it. So you can either get you a flying car and become part of that time, or you could just keep using gas. It might not be no gas vehicles in the next 20 years. It may just be all electric. You ain't gonna have no choice but to get those things installed inside your garages or try to find somewhere. And then they're going to be billing you monthly for it. So, I mean, whether you're paying for electricity or paying for gas, they still going to get their money. They're going to tax it. And it's just a cycle that's going to keep going around. So as they create new things, it's going to come with something. And you ain't just getting it for free.
Facts.
With that being said, let's go ahead and keep it moving. Let me take this off. Hit the like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We have one super chat that came through from Rashawn Washington. $10 says, "When I stole or lied, I got whooped by my mom, dad, my uncles. We don't have community these days. We are individuals, and we lost those traditional family values."
Facts.
It's a whole lot. It's a whole lot more of influence that we don't necessarily have control over, because before they didn't have social media. So whenever you talk to your child, it kind of is what it is. Now they're seeing examples of children not respecting their parents, doing what they want to do, all crazy type stuff. So that's something you're going to have to change inside your house.
Yeah.
You have kids that are raised by some nigga on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like literally, some cat woke up, put on clothes, bought a mic, and now he's raising your fucking kid, bro. Like, you know, and your kid is walking around no fat. He going to school telling his friends, yeah, no, what? Nigga, we taking all the phones, bro.
Hold on, let me get this real quick. Rashawn Washington $5 says, I fear the Most High, so I won't clap your girl cheeks, but I would let you know how she's moving. Yeah, go ahead, Lady Di, and then we'll go ahead and get to the next topic.
No, I was just saying it's a lot of parents are being lazy with the parenting and just allowing the screens to parent their children and not monitoring what their kids are watching and not like all those things. So yeah, there is some guy that's raised your kids. Your kids are running around saying things that you don't know, and you don't know where they came from because you don't know what they're watching. You don't know what's going on, not only in school, but on the screens after school. Their extracurricular is definitely probably filled with all them YouTube people that are playing with toys and games and cursing and saying, making all kind of innuendos that you know nothing about because you're not paying attention. So yeah, it's definitely happening. Parents got to get on it a bit more.
Lady T, aren't you afraid to correct them? Because if you do correct them, then they won't be your friends no more.
What? Listen, I'm not thinking about being friends to my child until she's 18. We could be friends then.
Oh, I ain't never gonna be friends with my son. He gonna always be my son. Now I'm gonna be a parent. I'll be okay. We're gonna be having different conversations. We're not gonna be friends. Right on.
To each his own. You know,
Right
I love and respect my baby girl. So I would love to know her as a person so that I could be, you know, a passenger in her car and not get booted out the car. You know what I mean?
Hey, Hank, it's funny you said that too. So with you saying that, my grandfather, he just recently passed like a couple months ago. And
sorry for your loss, brother.
Yes, I appreciate it. Now as he's laying in the casket at the wake, you know, I'm standing at the casket and I'm just touching his head. Now, mind you, I've known my grandfather my entire life. I've never been that close to him. You know what I'm saying? Like, to the extent of where I can just constantly just be touching him, especially as an adult. Now, in that moment, it was like, damn, is this something that I've been missing, or is this moment that surreal moment? Because before, you know what I'm saying, it was like that's Paw, you know what I'm saying? This is that Superman type of deal. But then it felt like it was much more respect in that moment to, you know what I'm saying, to have that extra moment with him, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but look, I look at it like this. With your friends, you can cuss and act a fool around them.
Right.
My son, you're not going to act and talk like that around me.
Right.
We're not going to have those type of conversations. But do you want me to talk about what I used to do to your mama? Is that what you want? The conversation you want to be friends? Because that's what we talk about with your friends. You're not having those type of conversation, bro. So no, again.
Well, no, you know, I'm agreeing. I'm agreeing with you. We're keeping that.
I'm trying to help my buddy to the far side who doesn't agree with me on a regular basis.
I didn't say
she loves to fight me. She
friends
loves to fight
with my child does not mean there aren't going to be like boundaries, a certain level of respect. I don't know what children you think I'm raising, but my daughter knows better. She knows she's a child. She knows the difference between an adult and a child her age. Friendship does not mean that there will be a lack of boundaries or
the lines will be blurred with your child once you sit there and say with your friends, because
maybe for you,
right.
Okay,
right,
maybe that's your reality, not mine.
I want your headphones at today. Where's your headphones at? I don't want to fight you. Where's your headphones at?
You want to fight me? It's evident.
All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Hit that like button. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel. The next one is: are women more more willing to compromise their standards for the men they like? Are women more willing to compromise their standards for the men they like?
I think a lot of women stand on their standards when it comes to a man they actually like.
I would say hell no. I think that most women got two sets of rules. They got a set of rules for the guy that they really like, and they got a set of rules for everybody else. And that right there is the issue, right? When you reach your peak level of maturity, then those rules become the same. Nobody is exempt. And I think because most women don't stand on their square, that allows men to just feel like we can do what we want. Like, y'all gotta understand how men think. Like, men only respect consequences. That's it, that's all. And fact is, most women don't administer them, right? So if I'm dealing with you and I'm violating and I'm this and I'm that, and you may get mad for 2-3 days or a week or whatever, you might go stay with your homegirl or whatever the case may be, but we know you coming back. Not only you coming back, but the 5 women we dated before you coming back. So when we get to the 8th woman, what you think our expectation is gonna be? So I think if women wanna see change in men, y'all gotta start standing on y'all standard. But if y'all don't, and continue to have those 2 sets of rules, good luck.
You know why I feel like that's true? Because be shocked as when you leave them, don't they?
Yep.
What the I just cheated twice. Times 6.
3 days ago.
That's the only time they be okay
That shit
with
was in
going
the
to see the
past.
lady. And
Oh, right.
as soon as you leave, that's when they want to go see the lady and fix every up thing about them. No, it's too late. I no longer care.
All right, shout out to my brother Trill. But he said men only respect consequences. Is that true?
I think so.
I think if you were raised right, you don't move like that. You move on. And I think this is with anybody, but I also in terms of men, I don't think men who stand on their own character and whatever, they're going to treat women the way that they see fit in terms of based on what they value, what they respect. They're just not going to just be randomly all over the place being disrespectful to women if that's not who they are already, right? But I do think that there is definite truth to what Trill was saying, is that sometimes people operate based on, I'm going to treat you the way that you allow me to treat you. I think most people probably operate on that. I'm gonna do what you allow me to get away with. It takes a level of maturity to move in a way that whether you let me get away with something or not, my own values and standards hold me higher to treating people with a certain level of respect, right? But definitely, I think women, like men, I think men are great at having those boundaries and sticking to them. Like they'll bounce, they'll drop you, they'll do whatever they need to do because they're clear. Whereas I think women, we move on a tightrope. If it's somebody that we really like, we'll overlook certain things or think that we can change it. Whereas if it's somebody that we like, iffy, we're quick to drop it because we really don't see it as a loss. So we're okay. So I definitely agree with that statement that we adjust our standards based on what it is that we like.
And I think I saw.
Go ahead, bro. My bad.
I think I saw on one of the panels y'all were going back and forth about, a dude waiting this much. I think it might have been Sweeney that was going back and forth with somebody, and talking about one dude waiting, and he would respect her waiting if it was kind of like based in religion, her having to wait. That feeds that argument, because when you have a woman that has 2 sets of standards, a standard for this dude and a standard for this dude, and then I see somebody else getting away with certain things, and then you try to enforce a certain standard on me, but it's like I just saw 4 niggas get away with the same offense, like, and you trying to enforce it on me. It's not respected, unless it was across the board for everybody, and everybody came like, nah, they not letting that slide. That goes for all of us. It's different. It's respected differently. So that's where that applies.
Yeah, I think that on just being 100, I don't think that's even a women only do this. This is a people thing. People do that in general. You know what I'm saying? I'm personally not a big fan of that panel, because a lot of things I think get taken out of context of what it actually is. There's women compromising their standards for a guy that they really like is no different than a man doing the same thing for a woman that he really like. You know what I'm saying? Even once you get to the point of where you're in a marriage or a serious relationship, there's going to be some things that you're going to let slide under the rug because of what y'all invested into each other. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I'm kind of torn about it. I do agree with it, but I think that that's just human nature. You know what I'm saying? If it's being in business, personal relationships, whatever the case may be, whatever the engagement was prior to that, is in the feelings that's invested, that's going to affect it all day, every day.
So I was gonna say that I was gonna say people do that. It's a people thing. That's why pretty privilege and handsome privilege exists. People get privileges based on how attracted you are to them. That's just
That's the real world.
You know, but I do agree with the fact, well, he said most, you know, there are, once you get to your peak level of maturity as it relates to dating and romantic dynamics, you're not compromising on your standards. Once you get to a point where it's like, it's not, because a lot of people date from a survival space. You know what I mean? A lot of people date from the codependent space. A lot of people date from a space of desperation, or maybe wanting to fill a void, maybe wanting to use someone else to fill an unhealed void that they haven't, you know, filled within themselves, you know, whether it be companionship or whatever have you. So if anyone is dating from that space, they're going to compromise. You know what I mean? So I guess that's why he said most. But yeah, once you get to a space where it's just like, you know, you have all you need and you're self-aware, you know what you want for yourself. As he said, you're mature. You're not compromising for a man you like, because you know what you're putting up at risk. And a woman's time is definitely valuable. And that, like y'all like to say, we have way less time to waste than y'all do. So
now with that compromise, I think that even with that word and with it being so broad, you know, I think that these conversations are taken to the extreme in the use of the word as well. I'll leave my socks laid around the house, you know what I'm saying, from time to time, right? If we was together and that just, you hated that, is that something that you won't compromise over?
that's trivial. We're speaking about
But I'm saying just with the narrative of, you know, the videos like that, people will hear compromise and place that word over everything. You know what I'm saying?
So before considering compromise, they have to consider standard. What is your standard? Right? So for me, my standard is respect. My standard is generosity. You need to be generous. You need to be compassionate. You understand? You need to be a man of integrity.
I mean,
Like that's a standard. There's no,
that's the basics.
you get what I'm saying? Basic. There's no like anything outside of that, character, personality traits, salary, height, aesthetic. Those things are preferences. Those are things that you can kind of compromise on because it doesn't affect you and how you operate and show up really in a relationship outside of like maybe a shallow side of it where it's like, or ego, where it's like, I refuse to deal with that because I don't want to, versus I can't deal with that because it's going to negatively affect me, like as a person, and I'm going to violate myself by accepting that. There's a difference.
Right.
Yeah, but I think that's like in the video, he said it's certain individuals. Lady T, if I come over, you're going to have that cornbread and them brown beans on the table waiting for me. You ain't gonna have no already. Yeah.
You could do beer and some frozen finger foods.
No, see, my stat says you're gonna have them brown beans and cornbread waiting for my big country ass. And you're gonna be able to get there with a smile on your face with a napkin in.
And I put some finger foods in the air fryer. You be all right.
But with that being said, people are moving and just for certain individuals, whatever their standards are. That's what women do. A lot of women standards, they're ever flowing like the water. Whichever the way, let that cool breeze come across. You got that silk shirt on, ladies. Them nipples gonna get hard. That's like the way y'all damn standards move. It's adjustable, man. Come y'all don't hold stand. Y'all don't hold stand. The lady sit there. The lady sit there and told you, no, we don't. And you know y'all don't. Y'all move. Y'all fluctuate. Y'all up and down with it. I mean, it's about how it makes me feel. I could be disrespectful, but I look good as hell. You gonna put up with that shit 5-10 years down the road. You can have some of these people, ladies, will stay in a situation and they're getting their ass whooped night in, night out. What happened to them standards then? I ain't gonna let no man disrespect me. Well, he disrespect you every time he lay hands on you. He's disrespect you every time he curses at you. But yet you sit there and say you're not gonna deal with that. But you are, because he was that individual. And he made you feel good.
Abuse is different. That's a horrible equivalency to make. That's like you can't even group that in with like,
can't you?
Because like beyond a point, it's something completely different. There's mental illness in there, there's mental instability in there, it's abusive. That is something you cannot, like, granted, maybe the beginning part of it, when a person could have ran, they seen the flags, they ignored them, whatever have you, it's repetitive, fine, right? But beyond a point, it's like there's certain things that we can't even apply to that sort of dynamic.
Yeah, but usually it starts with the verbal, right? But you was okay with that verbal abuse he was giving. You look past it. You didn't think it was that big deal. He was just upset. He was drunk that day. But you stay in there.
And that's what I mean, red flag. Right.
So that's what I'm saying about saying most men are not going to sit there and tolerate that bullshit. I tell a man, look, leave a woman in a restaurant. Leave her at the goddamn. Why? Because I got standards, and she's not fitting in. She talking crazy. She's materialistic. She's not for coffee dates. I don't have to put up with this, and I won't. No man should. You just keep it moving. Women need to move the same way. If that man ain't acting right, he ain't doing right, he ain't about his business, move on. A lot of women are afraid to be alone. They're scared.
Shit, not no more.
Well, you might be right, because I went out Valentine's Day and I seen these 4 fat heifers at the restaurant. You can tell them shit, man.
Definitely not afraid to be alone. It's better to be alone than to be alone.
Why are you going out to a nice restaurant? I mean, this ain't no cheap restaurant. They go out to a nice restaurant. They just all sitting. They look pitiful. They look pitiful. Yeah, they look pitiful. And the bad thing about what I love so much, this interracial couple came by and they looked at this brother, boy, he nice, well put together brother, tall, had a tall white snow bunny with him, blonde hair, blue eyes, and they looked at him with jealous eyes. As soon as they walk away, they cussing them out. They talking crazy to him.
That was probably your perception, because you're a grungy.
Yeah, okay. Look, the way I see them look at them, they had things to say.
Grumble, grumble, grumble.
Yeah, big heifers. These are big heifers too.
Yeah, grungy so.
My bad. I didn't mean to move the conversation like that.
Yes, you did.
It was intentional, T.
Yes. Grumble, grumble. That's you.
But I do think that women now are I think that women are talking themselves into being okay with, damn near dying alone type of deal. I seen this woman make a comment on a post on Facebook where she said that all women need to just live alone, And it was like, damn, like all women, you know what I'm saying? Like I understand the root of essentially, you know, some man broke your heart, whatever, but all women, you know what I'm saying? That will be the end of life, essentially. You know what I'm saying? The fall of society. Uh, and I think that mentality um, is extremely dangerous to the the progress of black people, you know, as a whole, because we really only see, well, I ain't gonna say we only see black people saying that, but I think that that's dangerous, and it comes from a lot of these podcasts that are giving out misinformation to peddle to one side.
So I don't think that all women should be okay with dying alone. But I don't think that all women, um, like I don't think that God, the creator, the most high, whoever you believe in, made a match for everyone. And I do believe that people underestimate the pain that is associated with heartbreak. Um, and I do think that, a lot of people um, put so much weight on having romantic companionship and finding fulfillment in that they totally disregard and forget that there are a subset of people that don't need that type of love to feel fulfilled in life. Because sometimes there are people, what do you think? How do you think? Nuns exist. Some people just get satisfaction out of being of service. That's a form of love too. You know what I mean? So there are some women that are okay with being single. There are women that are okay with, you know, being alone, if that means not having to deal with potentially being hurt again in that way, or, wasting time doing something that maybe you were giving to that wasn't given back to you when now time has passed and there's so much that you've missed out on. You know what I mean? Like there are so many things that women see that folks just don't take into consideration. And to your point about the podcasting, us hearing, especially if you're a woman that you operate from a place of love, and you're hearing all this angry rhetoric and messaging being spewed into the minds and hearts and spirits of people everywhere, and these men are taking it, internalizing it, and operating and showing up in this from this hateful space, hypervigilant space, as though all women operate in the way that these podcasts are speaking to. It's kind of like, why would I go into the scene expecting to meet someone? Maybe it's best I be okay with being alone so that I don't have to potentially deal with that or defend myself against unknown, rhetoric and whatever you could have been taking in.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%, and I'm glad you made that point. I think the biggest factor in that is is understanding that's happening on both sides, right? So now you have both sides that have this idea and concept that the other side is the reason why everything is falling to shit and I'll never find love and blah blah blah, and it's piss in the dating pool. Those people saying that are the ones that's pissing in the dating pool. You know what I'm saying? They're making it harder for it to even happen. The other part of that as well is that the realistic fact is that love is pain. You know what I'm saying? And pain is love. The only way that somebody is going to hurt you is if you feel some type of way about them. And the only way that it's going to affect you is if you love them. You know what I'm saying? So it's a hand in hand dance of man, woman, or whatever it is that you may be into. But the whole point of life is to create it and spend it with someone else or other people or whatever the case may be. Not individualism. Is two people coming together and sharing this experience that we call life together. And I do think that is somebody for everybody.
And that's the difference.
No, thank you. No, I was just gonna say, no, I agree. And I do think that, like I said, it's not just romantic love. Everyone, we're tribal people. I do agree we're not meant to be alone. I do believe I would love to see everyone find healthy love and just, like I'm a sappy person as it relates to that. So don't get me wrong. But I do think that like, people are putting too much weight on that romantic love and acting as though like the other forms of love don't also bring fulfillment to folks as well. So that's all I was saying. So that's to those women that are saying that maybe they need to accept that they may not find their person. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Just imagine if you saw a bunch of nuns with a podcast and they were like, Lady T, he broke your heart? Oh, come to us, baby girl. Get a robe here for you. Like, that's what's happening. That's what's happening. Like, you have, huh?
You know, Jay, you know what it is? They gonna be promoting lesbianism. That's what that is.
no, you pervert. Maybe they're just not having sex. That is that. There are people that don't have sex when they're not in relationships. You do realize that, right?
Yeah, that exists. But I'm sure there's a lot of documentaries that say otherwise. But what I'm saying is that's what's happening. Imagine nuns saying, come to us. He broke your heart, come to us. That's what you have. You have females, and like Viz said, on the male side too, you have people that saying like, yo, just be fine with dying alone. Like, that's not living. You know what I'm saying? Life is about heartbreak, pain, happiness, sadness. It's about all of it. It ain't about just one thing. I think people try to make it seem like life is supposed to be happiness, 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 happiness. Get the fuck out of here. It's not about that. It's about all of it. Now, depending on how you were raised, who raised you, what you've been around, depends on how much of any of those things are going to affect you. Meaning, if one person raised you, it could be sadness, 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 sadness. Or if another person, it could be happy, sad, heartbreak, pain, happiness, success. It could be a combination of those things. But it's life. So when you have people that have convinced themselves that, because that's what the world is doing right now. Every new invention is separating us, is isolating us from each other. We on the internet right now. 15 years ago, all of us would have been sitting on the couch somewhere kicking it, or at a restaurant, chopping it up. Now we on the internet. There's going to be a new meta for what we're doing right now. Whatever that is, we're going to have big headsets on. I'm going to be in your house through my headset. And we're going to be talking, and all of that is moving us further and further away. My neighbor, 15 years ago, I would have known my neighbor. We would have, exchanged stuff. We would have talked. We would meet at the mailbox. I would have known her 15 years ago. Now, she got a no trespassing sign on the window. Niggas in and out the crib at 2:30 in the morning. I'm looking out the window. She's selling pussy, dogs, or weed. Whatever's going on in the house, I don't know. She don't want me to know. You know what I'm saying? But we don't know each other. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, we would have known each other. I'd have been like, oh, I know somebody wants some pussy. I know somebody wants some weed. I at least would have been in on the nonsense. You know what I'm saying? Even if I'm not a part of that, that's not my lifestyle, I at least would have known, yo, that's where you go to get this. That's where you go to get that. Oh, you want some of that? Yeah, let me hit my homegirl next door. She got you.
Jay's out here promoting black-owned business. I know that's right.
But they're moving us. So you have us telling us die alone, and you have the world setting it up for us to literally be dying alone. So you have to make the choice.
To kind of like full circle in terms of what we were talking about earlier about fear-based, unhealthy fear versus healthy fear. And I think a lot of times when women or men, when we are in these spaces and hear about, women saying, it's okay to be alone, not being in a relationship. I do think for some women that is, that may be their destiny, so to speak. But I think for the vast majority, a lot of that talk is based out of fear. It's fear-based. Like, I'm not going to be able, I've been in relationship before, I've been hurt. And in order to avoid something like that happening again, then I'm just not going to be in a relationship. And then I think same thing with men. Like, you know, I've been hurt by a woman. I don't trust them anymore. So I'm going to treat them like this because I don't want to open my heart up to be hurt and feel like that again. So I think a lot of these conversations that we're having is out of fear. And we're trying to, I mean, being in these spaces, it goes out to so many people that I'm seeing how it actually impacts the younger generation, because I am in high school and I hear, you know, girls
They saying it.
talking about relationship, and the same thing that I'm hearing in this space, I know they're hearing as well, because
They
they're
saying it.
some of the same stuff. And so I think, you know, somebody had told me the only way to experience certain things is by experiencing the opposite, being able to appreciate it. So you can appreciate love because you've been through pain. You can appreciate peace because you know what it's like to be in chaos, right? So there's this duality that in life we have to go through, and that brings us back full circle to about change. If you what is something about if you stay the same place you rust or whatever. So that goes to the same thing. If you're not going through these dualities, you can't appreciate it, right? So I think it's very important for us to go through pain so we can appreciate the love, appreciate safety, we can appreciate those things, because when you don't, you just take stuff for granted. You know, my kids took for granted that they were provided, you know, food, clothing, and shelter, right?
That's
But it
why I
didn't
used to whoop them.
happen, right? But when I took my daughter to Egypt and she saw that that wasn't the reality for a lot of kids that lived there, she grew a different appreciation for the fact that she had it, because she had nothing else to compare it to. So I think those are the things that a lot of times we're experiencing and we're hearing in these spaces, this dialogue and this thing out of fear. Because it didn't work for me, I'm gonna assume that it's not gonna work for you. So I'm gonna tell you how I'm gonna move and you should move the same way. And it's just not the case.
Yeah, I like that. You got to be cautious these days, man. You just got to be able to move to your own beat. So,
Do
yeah.
background checks. Said do background checks.
I mean, you can do background checks. I mean, they don't eliminate everything, though. A lot of times you find out you got to be open to understand that just because things are introduced this way or appear to be this way in the beginning, don't necessarily mean that it's going to be that way throughout. So it's going to take some work to be able to endure any relationship, if you ask me.
Facts.
And it could be fun and exciting, man. It could be a fun, exciting learning about somebody. So even if you don't know every single thing, at least you can have an idea of finding out something new about that person. Let me go get to these super chats real quickly. AP Accountability Partner says, all praises to my Lord and Savior this wonderful Sunday afternoon. Salute to the panel. What's up to my homegirl, Mistaken? Easy phony baby zaddy $5 question then, Mistaken. So our relationship's all about checks and balances then. It sounds exhausting. Always trying to keep the other person in line. Egan A, $2 says, women to set standards is the reason why we here. AP Accountability Partner $5 says, no, Lady T, no woman, and I mean no woman is okay with being alone. They have accepted those circumstances and realities. Not the same thing. You think that's true? You think women truly don't desire to be alone, but they just come to that point due to circumstances, experiences?
Yeah, I don't think it's that they're accepting being alone. Again, I said there's different types of love. We're created to love on one another. You know what I mean? Like, but it's not all romantic love. And yes, once they have gotten to a space where, I mean, they've been hurt or they're operating from a space of fear, then they accept it for what it is until they don't. But there are folks that accept it.
Okay. AP Accountability Partner $5 says, that's not suggest men are okay with being alone. That's why we have the conversations in this space. Let's better understand so we can move together. And last, Steppenwolf $5 says, women don't seem to understand. They'll have what they say. The universe is listening.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that's gonna be Lapeef-ing Sunday, man. I know it's kind of short today, but we got straight to the point. Unfortunately, that's on Super Bowl, but I think we got All Star. I didn't know All Star Weekend was this weekend until I saw it out on TV. I'm like, damn, it's All Star Weekend. It just seemed a little different. It's not so much of a buzz. Are y'all looking forward to it?
Yeah, it's in Indianapolis this year. So I was just up that way. My son had a basketball game and had a lot of traffic going on in the Indianapolis area. So yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah.
The shootout was cool. I mean,
Yeah,
I watched the All-Star game. Shootout was okay. Dunk contest stunk.
Yeah, I'm starting to think they should probably have some people on the outside. It's not in the NBA to enter. I don't know if they got to clear waivers or what, but this is just boring. I mean, them jumping over people and doing windmills. I've seen better dunks on Instagram.
Well, I tell you this: the baby daddy count's gonna go up after this weekend because there's a lot of strippers heading that way to Indianapolis this past weekend. So they up there, they dropping it like it's hot, doing a damn thing and having fun with it. So yeah, some future baby daddies are gonna be made.
So you heard it there, man. I was unaware that Indy had a lot of strippers.
No, they don't. They get imported.
Oh, they get in. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
they contract them out.
Yeah.
Check you out all smart and resourceful and stuff.
Lady T, see, there you go. I thought you didn't want to fight with me, but it's obvious you do. You better have my goddamn brown beans and cornbread ready when I come through. I know that.
Brown beans and cornbread. That sounds like a running stomach.
You said sound like slave food.
Shit, you don't know about the South. Hey, look, my lady made me some brown beans and cornbread a couple weeks ago. Well, shit at the spot. That shit stick to your goddamn ribs.
What you had with it?
That's all you need, Jay.
Oh, you talking about okay? You eat the beans
brown
like
beans
llama beans,
like
llama beans. I don't eat no meat when I eat llama beans. So you
I tell stew. Mm-hmm.
No, you put your ham hock in it. You put some ham hock in it, a couple of ham hocks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And a little meat off her. That's all you need.
That's all you need.
And see, that's why you ain't got no man right there because you don't know how to cook.
Fire for that. No pork on my fork.
No pork on my fork. I like that, man. We're gonna go ahead and bring this one to a close. I just posted that link to you guys in the Dallas area March 9th. We do have that masquerade ball. So March 9th, that link is pinned to the top of the chat. Go ahead and click that. Also, hit that like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel on the way out. Shout out to the sponsor again, Teej Hanley. Make sure you feel a Teej. And also go ahead and get your sugar curls and Lapeef collab. This is a Sure Man on top right here. Smells excellent. Smells amazing. Let's get our beard in order. All right, y'all. Y'all make sure y'all enjoy y'all Sunday. And if you are in Indy, do the right thing.
I know that's right, JR.
All right, y'all. Appreciate it, everybody. Make sure we support each other on the panel, too. Make sure y'all check out the Instagrams and all that good stuff and see what they got going on. I will holler at y'all.
It's a bet.